Hi everybody, I'm going to be going over 20 Stevie Ray Vaughan licks today. That introduction you just heard, pretty much every lick that you heard in there, I'm going to be covering in some way. All these licks are pretty easy to learn and they're all made to fit together. Everything is in the key of G, everything is the same timing, everything is the same kind of style. So all made to fit together really well. So learn these licks one by one and then start to combine them together and then work them into your improvisations. I'm going to go through each lick one by one and break down the difficult parts and talk about how you should try using it. So let's go through the licks. Here's the first lick. First lick is pretty basic here. We're bending up on the first string on the 8th fret, and then we're playing 6, 8 on the 1st and 2nd string, and then we're landing on the 6th fret on the 1st string. Now when you get to that 6th fret on the 1st string, you can either just do a little vibrato, or you can do a little bend up, like a half step bend up. So either way you want to do that, no way is the wrong way. Second lick is a little bit tricky. There's a little fast section in there. So let's break it down note by note and I'll talk about the difficult parts. The first few notes we're climbing down the G minor pentatonic scale. Then we hit the G blues note there. We're hitting the 6th fret on the 3rd string and we're sliding down to the 5th. So it's like this. Slide down to the 5 and then pull off to the 3. Then we land on the 5th on the 4th string, 3rd on the 3rd string, then bend up on the 3rd string. So far we have this. And then we bend up on the 5th string. And the last two notes, this is the real Stevie Ray Vaughan vibe here. 3rd fret on the 1st string, then 3rd fret on the 3rd string. He plays that all over Texas Flood if you've heard that before. Now you can play that with your fingers. So when you get to those last two notes, you can pluck that 1st string with your finger, or you can pick both notes. Either way you want to do it. There's no wrong way to do it, but obviously picking with your finger there is a little bit more efficient. You can even pick the 1st note of the lick with your 1st string. So rather than doing this, where I'm upstroking the 3rd fret on the 1st string, maybe you try playing that with your finger instead. Again, no wrong way. It's really a preference, but it's an easy lick to squeeze that finger style playing in there. So the tricky part here, the tricky part to watch out for is when you slide down here, that part right there, because there's a little triplet in there. So let me play it really slowly so you can hear the timing correctly. It goes like this. Really slow. So watch that timing there. But that's a great sounding, really standard Stevie Ray Vaughan lick. So this lick actually gets into G major pentatonic territory because we're playing the E note in there. And if you want to get technical for a second, the E note is the major 6th of the G scale. That's not G minor pentatonic, that's G major pentatonic. So, and this is a great lick that you could fit in with other licks. So for example, this goes really well with a lick that I just played last. So, again, all these licks fit together really well. But in any case, that's part of the major pentatonic scale there. So what you should do is try and play this over the 1 chord in the 12-bar blues, which is the G. So this lick is also in G minor pentatonic. This one's just way up on the register up here in the 15th fret. So the really basic pentatonic shape just way up here. You slide up on the 15th fret on the 2nd string, and then 15th fret on the 1st string, 15th fret on the 2nd string, and then 18th bend up. And you can do that, a little vibrato there, then bend up on the 17th fret, bend back down and pull off. So I'm only picking once there. And then the last part, I did this little slide down. All I'm doing there is I'm kind of hitting the strings with an upstroke there, muted, and then hitting down, and then hitting the note on the down part, and then sliding down. So. You could do it from like the 18th fret. It also sounds good from the 15th fret too. Or you can just kind of make it sound like it comes from nowhere specific. Just. So any way you want to do it. This next lick is a lick you really want to pair with other licks. By itself, it doesn't do a whole lot, but this is a great thing to add into other licks. So for example, that second lick we covered, this one right here, this is a great lick to pair with that. So look out for other licks that you can pair this with. The lick goes like this, climbing up 3 to 6 in the 2nd string, then hammer from the 3 to the 5, and then pull off from the 4 to 3, and then land on the 6 on the 2nd string. So really slow, it's like this. What you'll hear Stevie Ray Vaughan do a lot is do 2 hammers on the 3 to 5 there. He'll do this. You hear him doing a lot kind of close to the turnaround in a 12-bar blues. He does things like that, like things like that. So again, this is a lick that you want to pair with other licks that you're learning in this lesson. One more time slowly, the lick is this. This is a great little 3-note lick. Really, it works well on its own, and it works really well paired with other licks. So I can play it just like this, but it also sounds really good when I throw in something else along with it. So sounds good like that too. But a really versatile lick, a lick that's really easy to just kind of squeeze in places. And you can also play it way up on the neck up here. So really slowly. 3rd fret on the 1st and 2nd string, and then you slide up to the 8th. This is one of my favorite Stevie Ray Vaughan licks. Watch out for the timing here. It's a triplet sliding down. It's kind of fast. You go like this. So the whole lick together is like this. It's another lick that sounds great just by itself or mixed in with other licks. So something like that. But again, works equally well just by itself. The tricky part is that slide, so watch out for that. I'm sliding down, pulling off from the 3rd to the 1st finger there on the 8th to the 6th fret, and then sliding down to the 3. And when I do that part right there where I go to the 3rd fret on the 1st string, back to the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, it helps to do that a little bit of a roll so you don't hear the 2nd string ringing out. When you hit that 3rd note, you shouldn't be able to hear the 3rd fret on the 2nd string still ringing. This lick is going to sound a lot better if you're able to pull that off and get that muted sound on the 2nd string. It sounds much cleaner that way, so watch out for that. A really classic Stevie Ray Vaughan lick. Let's break this down. We're hammering up from the 3 to the 5. Then the 3rd fret on the 4th string. 5th fret on the 5th string, and then there's a little triplet here. That's hitting the 3rd fret on the 5th string and hammering the 4th and pulling off. And then we pull off from 6 to 3 on the 6th string, and then land on the G note, the 5th fret on the 4th string. So all together, slowly, it's like this. So this is a variation of one of the licks we already played. This is a really stock, really classic Stevie Ray Vaughan lick. This time when we're playing this, we're starting with a bend up on the 5th fret. Then we do this little triplet pull off here. That's 5th fret on the 3rd string, pull off to the 3rd. Then 5th fret on the 4th string. And then the last part of the lick is really similar to something we already played. 3rd fret on the 3rd string, bend up on the 5th. And then we do that little 2-note lick between going from the 3rd fret on the 1st string to the 3rd fret on the 3rd string. Again, maybe you want to experiment playing that with your fingers there. Whatever way works for you. So really slowly like this. Kind of a Jimi Hendrix style vibe in this lick. It's getting kind of into major feeling kind of territory. So you maybe want to experiment playing this chord over the 1 chord in a 12-bar blues. In any case, the lick is like this. It's 6th fret on the 1st string, 8th fret on the 2nd string, 6th fret on the 2nd string, then slide up to the 10 on the 1st string, and then land on the 8th fret on the 2nd string. This is a lick that has a really Texas Flood type vibe here. Stevie Ray Vaughan plays a lot of things really similar to this in that song. Basically, we're hitting the 8th fret on the 2nd string twice, then the 6th fret of the 1st string, 8th fret on the 2nd string. So far it's this. Now here's the tricky part. The next note we play is way down on the 3rd fret on the 2nd string. So it's kind of a big motion right there. So that's the key to getting this lick down, is making that sound smooth, that transition there. Being quick from this note to this note. And then the last note, a few notes, is a bend up, pull off, pull down, and then pull off. So I'm only picking once. This lick is a great lick to throw at the tail end of another lick. It works really well like that. This is really a classic blues lick. I'm bending up on the 5th fret on the third string rather. Then I'm just climbing down the G minor pentatonic scale really fast. So starting in the 3rd fret on the 3rd string, it's like this. So that's just pull off 5-3 on the 4th string, pull off 5-3 on the 5th string. So, but playing it much faster, it sounds like that. So again, it sounds great at the tail end of a lick. So let's say you're playing something. Sounds great throwing it at the tail end of another lick. So that's how I would use that. Now the first part of that lick right there, the first 4 notes, is a great lick just by itself. So you may just want to learn that. That's a great simple lick to squeeze in an improvisation. But I threw in this last part here. So you may just want to practice this part. That little section is bend up on the 3rd string, then 3rd fret on the 1st and 2nd string, then slide up to the 8th. Again, whenever you're playing two frets on adjacent strings, the same fret on adjacent strings, where it's like 3 and 3, watch out for that roll right there. We hit this at another lick earlier. You don't want to hear the 3rd fret on the 2nd string ringing out while you're playing on the 1st string. So for example, you don't want to hear this, where you hear that note still ringing. It's subtle, but it makes a difference. It sounds much cleaner and much more articulate if you actually kind of rotate your finger a little bit like that. Roll your finger so you're hearing the 3rd fret on the 1st string, but the 3rd fret on the 2nd string is muted. Sounds much better. So the second part of the lick is this, up on the 6th fret on the 1st string, 8th fret of the 2nd string, and then bend up on the 8th fret on the 1st string. And then the last 2 notes are this, which that is by itself just a good little 2-note lick. That works just by itself. So again, slowly it's like this. That's it for this lick. Incredibly simple lick, but something that sounds great when you throw it on the end of another lick. So as an example, let's say I'm playing down here. Something great just throw on the end of a lick. Now when you do this, I was hitting the string once muted. Kind of the same way I did that before. When I did that slide, I'm just doing a downstroke muted and then hitting the note on the upstroke and then sliding down. You can do this on one note, really B.B. King style thing there, or you can do 2 notes together. I tend to hear Stevie Ray Vaughan do that style more, where it's 2 notes together. But anyway, that's how you would use that lick. It sounds really good when you throw it on the end of another lick. That's a really classic lick that Stevie Ray Vaughan plays at the end of a turnaround, so you can't play that just anywhere. Make sure you're playing it at the right point in the song. You need to play it at the turnaround. So the last chord landing on there is the D7, which is, of course, the 5 of the G chord. That lick is also a very Jimi Hendrix style vibe. I've heard Stevie Ray Vaughan play that quite a bit, and I think he ripped that off directly from Jimi Hendrix. This is a little bit of a major style vibe here. It's kind of getting in the major key because we're playing the 6th of the major pentatonic scale there, the E. So that's not part of the pentatonic minor scale anymore. That's the major. So, but the next 2 notes goes down to this note right here, the B flat, which is the minor 3rd of the pentatonic scale. So it's kind of mixing the major and minor together in this lick. That's major and that's minor. So anyway, that's the first 4 notes. 5 to 7 on the 5th string, then 5 slide down to 3 on the 3rd string, then pull off on the 4th string, and then bend up on the 5th string. In the last 2 notes, that's 3, 5 on the 3rd and 4th string. So all together really slowly, it's like this. And then up to speed, it sounds like this. Really basic blues lick here. We're sliding up on the 8th fret on the 2nd string. And we're bending up on that 6th fret, just up out like a half step. You can just do a little vibrato if you prefer. And the last few notes are 8 on the 2nd string, then 7 on the 3rd string, and then 6 on the 2nd string. Another thing too, just feels natural to me, so you may want to experiment with this too. Try playing the 6th fret on the 1st string with your finger. This lick has a double stop in it. Kind of a dominant 7 type sound there. 5th fret on the 1st string, 6th fret on the 1st string, and we bend up the 5th fret on the 2nd string a half step. Really cool sound. Then we climb down the G minor pentatonic scale, and then do one of those bend up, bend back, pull off things again. So it's like this. So those last few notes is 5th fret on the 4th string, then 3rd fret on the 3rd string, and then bend up on the 5th fret on the 3rd string. Now watch the timing there. The timing is tricky on this pull off. Really slowly. So watch out, that's the tricky part as far as timing goes. Here's the lick once again up to speed. Here's a basic lick, just kind of climbing up the G minor pentatonic scale. So starting in the 3rd fret on the 5th string, just going straight up, 3, 5, 3, 5, then 3 on the 3rd string, picking every note. And the last 3 notes are a little triplet. That's a pull off from 5 to 3 on the 5, and a land on the 5 on the 5th string. That's another lick that I would tend to play at the end of another lick. Something like that. This lick has a nice little trill in it. That's the tricky part, making sure you get that trill, the timing on the trill just right. So the first part of the lick, we're just climbing down the G blues scale. So 6, 3 in the 2nd string, then on the 3rd string, 6, 5, 3. So then 5, 3 pull off on the 4th string. Then 5th fret on the 5th string. So far it's this. Now here comes the trill. Now you play that, it's the 3rd fret and the 5th fret. So it's starting on the 3rd fret. It's a little hammer-on pull-off. And then we land on the 3rd fret on the 3rd string. Now, the timing here. So watch this trill. It takes a little bit of getting used to. You play it exactly, the 2-note pattern 6 times. So 12 total notes. So it's like this. So you may need to practice that slow to get that feel down, but once you get it, it should just be kind of a feel thing. That goes right into that other lick we learned really well too. So anyway, watch that trill section, but that's a great sounding lick once you get that down. In that trill, that one little section right there, that's something that you can squeeze into a lot of other licks. So once you get that trill down, that's another one of those little, really simple licks that you can kind of squeeze in to a bunch of other licks that you learned here.